Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to another edition of our long-running but very popular Bill Crane Report with Duane Weiss.
Hello, everybody.
We're here to give you our spin and our thoughts on the news of the day and the outrages of the day. And I got them.
Good.
I'm outraged. But before I do it, I have had an article that I have not gotten to for, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks.
Some of this stuff hangs.
Some
of this stuff hangs around for a while because we just don't get to it.
I'm getting to it right now. Okay. Japan leader Abe limits remorse for World War II. And he's being criticized for not getting down on bended knee, I guess, and crying alligator tears over World War II. Okay. In a nationally televised address, he described his feelings of profound grief and offered eternal, sincere condolences for the dead. But there was nothing really more than that. I think that was enough.
I think at this point it is too. First of all, he has nothing personally to do with it.
Exactly.
The chances are he probably wasn't even born yet.
He wasn't.
All right. And number two, what do you want him to do?
We seem to think that, well, there's some people in our country that seem to think that we are the victors and forever they owe fealty to us. Well, all right, it's true. We are the victors.
We
were the victors. But by the same token, it seems to me that in this country, we're certainly willing to forget about how we treated the Indians.
Yep.
Native Americans, for you people that are politically correct out there, or slavery. We've gotten past it. We didn't do that to the Indians. I'm talking about you and I.
No, right.
We didn't hold slaves. We admit it was a terrible event in our history.
But it was, like Bill Belichick, it is what it is, or it was what it was.
It was what it was. Very
That's
profound. Right. Extremely so. But yet we don't seem to want to cut that slack to the Japanese. However, do we rant and rave and rail at the Germans?
Not
the way we do the Japs?
Not near as much, because there's a perception there of treatment of POWs too.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And also, but by the same token, I mean, the Jews tried to wipe out an entire ethnicity of people.
No,
the
Germans.
Jews.
Yeah.
So we had quite a bit of cruelty on both sides, but yet I think we relate more to the Germans because
of course we do. There are more ancestors of German ancestors here. Yep.
There's a
huge
and the cultural, Germanic
yep.
population.
And the culturals are very parallel.
Exactly. And they're part of NATO. All is forgiven, all is forgotten. Not really, but a heck of a lot more than with the Japanese. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of it with the Japanese.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Let's forget about it. I mean, we should get together once a year with the Japanese and offer up our prayers and thoughts and condolences to one another for the deaths.
That's right.
And that's it. And then go from there. You can't live in the past.
No, forever. You can't do it.
You can, however, respect the past and understand the past and learn from the past. I think we've done that.
Yep.
That's it. I can put this file away.
Okay, that one's done.
I've got some stuff hot off the press.
Okay, go ahead. I got a few things to it with this one.
The
I got a couple.
first
If we get too heavy, I got something a little lighter too.
Oh, I get a couple too, yeah. But I got some stuff here right off the bat. Hot off the press at 10 o'clock or 9:30 news on WBZ. Issue 3, I think that's what they called it in Ohio, was
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a vote to legalize recreational or medical marijuana in Ohio, all in one swell swoop.
Yep.
It was defeated. Now, I read the Boston Globe this morning. I didn't read it totally.
You must have got my Globe, because I haven't got one.
Oh, you haven't got one yet? You haven't missed much. But they did have that in there. But it was a bland sort of little article. Oh, that was defeated, but the proponents of it say they're coming back in 2016, da-da-da-da-da-da. I read the whole article. Not one time did it say what was the margin of victory for the naysayers. It was defeated by a 2-to-1 margin.
It was thought that it was going to win.
2-to-1. I got that off WBZ radio. You didn't get that out of the Globe. I wonder if, does the Globe favor legalization of marijuana? See, I can't figure all this stuff out by myself.
Ohio's got another issue there. Some of the ones that voted no really don't want to vote no, but they don't want to give the monopoly to an individual. By voting yes, they would have gave that right to grow and provide it, I think, to one individual.
Really?
Well, it would have been just hundreds of millions of dollars.
Whoa.
And what they want to do is split, different suppliers.
Free enterprise.
Yeah, free enterprise, instead of having this monopoly like Massachusetts likes. And so a lot of those people that were for voted against it to get because they didn't want to get that monopoly. And you remember when we put the bottle bill in, right away there was this group of 6 or 7 individuals that really wrapped up all the recycling and all the handling, all the empties and stuff.
Now, by the way,
that was all done and deal before the vote went through.
Guess we're still recycling.
I think so.
Some of the recycle centers have gone out of business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The guy down Walpole is only willing to give you 4 cents.
The redemption guy is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't make enough money at 8 cents.
7 or 8, yeah.
I think he sells it back to the state.
Yeah, he gets 2 or 3 cents a handling.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I've been taking them down, not soon enough, back to the supermarket, the soda cans.
Yeah.
And standing here sticking them in that stupid machine, and half the time it don't work. And then the beer bottles and stuff, I buy stuff all over the place. They don't want to take back where they sell.
I know it, yeah.
And with the craft beers, I never know where the hell I bought them.
Yeah, I've had this argument locally with
they end up going in the garbage. So
one of our little convenience stores told me they don't want to take the bottles back.
No, they don't.
You sure you bought them from me?
Yep.
I said, what difference does it make? I only take back the bottles I sell. I said, how do you know which ones you sold?
Well, if it's a brand that he carries, he'd have trouble.
That's right. I said to him,
saying who he did or didn't.
You cannot do this. And he told me to take my bottles and screw. The Hillary Clinton report this morning.
Oh,
Are you
geez.
ready for this?
Yep.
Hillary said, we've got to do something about gun violence. Do you know 90 people die daily from gun violence?
Is that a fact?
Well, that's 32,850 a year. My dear friends, please, if you just go brain dead on this show and don't really listen to it, but just look at our cute faces. Please perk up and listen to this. 32,850 people die annually from guns. That includes accidents and suicides. Violent crime at the last reporting was 8,800, not 32,500. Now, I don't mean to poo-poo that number. That's a hell of a big number.
It is.
And it's a bloody shame. But let's not make it 4 times worse than
Right.
it is. Let's, if you're going to talk about gun violence, at least try to be honest about it.
That's the problem with a lot of these things. They to prove their point, they extrapolate all this information, and they make it so big. Pretty soon, you don't believe them at all.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, to put this in perspective, how many people die in automobile accidents every year? Yeah. Those numbers are all over the place, too. But
Yeah.
if you guess 40,000, I think
40's
you'd be
usually
pretty
been a
damn
pretty
to be
close number.
to it. Yeah.
Well, you go 8,000.
Yeah.
I bet more people die riding bicycles a year in this country doing it right now.
If we should be a heck of a lot more alarmed about the 500,000 or 1,000,000 people that die every year from cancer.
That's right.
If we're going to spend money as a government, all right, then let's not go after the people that are legally exercising their rights. Let's go after criminals, but let's also look at more funding for
I have a little
cancer.
segue to your gun.
Yep. And also Alzheimer's,
Yep.
which is a dreadful disease. We're seeing that firsthand as we age. You and I both.
Oh yeah. Oh my. We're much more cognizant of it now.
Yep. Friends of ours
Yep.
just disappear into this shadow world.
And some not so old.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. To go on with the Hillary report this morning, Quinnipiac College,
Yep.
which generally speaking is one of the more respected polling sources, released this morning these figures. If the election were held today, Ben Carson would defeat Hillary Clinton by a 50-40 margin.
Yep. That's interesting because they haven't started taking that kind of polling generally yet. They're still sticking party to party.
Yep.
You know, Hillary versus her own party.
Donald,
Yeah.
and then versus Rubio, and blah, 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 blah. Now, what I think is very interesting is that Hillary is running for president right now, full blast.
Oh,
She's not running against any of the others in her party.
She's just assuming that she's going to run.
Bernie Sanders, and I was very disappointed to see Lincoln Chafee drop out because I so wanted him to address the metric system. His exit interview was, you'd swear that he was somewhere else with some of the answers that he gave out.
Yep.
Just incredible. I wish I could get a transcript of it. But that's a big margin, 50-40, when you consider she's running for president and Ben Carson is running for the Republican nomination and at the same time continuing on with his life.
That's right.
He's a very engaging man.
Oh, he is. Extremely intelligent.
No question. But is he presidential?
Well, I'm not sure what presidential is.
I'm not sure either.
But,
I mean, after witnessing Illinois' gift to the country and Jimmy Carter.
Yep, there's another one.
I don't know what presidential is either, I don't think.
I think that's a job that you're not born for, but you can learn.
He certainly got the gray matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the presidents that we elect are not necessarily the brilliant individuals that they put,
not.
but they surround themselves with people that are very, very well
And they
informed.
market themselves.
And they market themselves, right. Oh, look at Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
They think, what was he? You know, people say, well, he's a cowboy actor. You know, how the hell is he going to be president? He would have made a great president.
Greatest president of the 20th century. No question in my mind.
And if you before that you say, was he presidential? They say, hell, he's a Hollywood ham. But he learned. He learned how to do it.
Because he had values.
That's right.
Beneath the shell of being a Hollywood, he had values.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what counts. It's what's inside.
Ben Carson, this is it's not a criticism, but he's a little bit too quiet. He just doesn't project himself as being forward and aggressive. I think if he puts a little bit of aggressiveness into his daily regime, he would be presidential.
I think you're right. I'm going to skip this one for a second here. Well, here's a tease I heard on NECN TV. Taking a break for a commercial.
You watch them all, don't you?
I watch them all. I like Channel 6 on Comcast. But here's a tease I heard as they broke for a commercial. Did Jay-Z ever cheat on Beyonce? Stay tuned for all the details.
Well, I hope you got the answer there, because I'm just waiting to find out.
The answer was no, she was true blue.
Oh, my God.
But who the devil cares?
That's right.
And what have we become a nation of complete morons?
Nincompoops with this stuff.
Holy jumping catfish. Charles Krauthammer, brilliant guy.
Yep, he is.
Summed up the Middle East. He said, Obama says Bashar Assad has to go. Draws a red line on chemical weapons and does nothing. Russia acts on behalf of a desperate ally. Whom do you want in your corner?
Yeah.
Putin has got the moral high ground over our president.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that something?
Yep.
Oh, holy.
That's truly amazing.
Briefly, and I don't want to get too tied up in this one, but the cod fishery is now thought to be, the stock is thought to be even lower than what they projected. So we got a conundrum here. That's a problem for you potheads.
Even I knew what that meant.
Over here, you have scientists,
Yep.
biologists, trying to figure out how many cod are left. Over here, you got fishermen who say we got to keep fishing because that's how we feed our families.
That's right.
That's how I pay for my boat.
Yep.
And it's been our way of life forever.
Ever.
I'm a fourth generation fisherman. Well, let's break this down and be simple about this. Suppose there were 100 cod in the ocean. Well, the fishermen go out. They didn't breed well, so there's only 90 left. So we do this year after year, and the number of cod continues to shrink. So what do these guys do? Fish longer.
Yep.
I got to pay for my boat. My kid's got to go to college. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. So now we're down to 13 cod.
Yeah, that's right.
And they want to go out and catch as many as they've been catching every year, so they knock the cod down to 6. Now, at some point in time, the law of diminishing returns
kicks in.
has to kick you right in the face. They say the scientists don't know what they're talking about. They've never fished a day in their life.
But then where did the cod go?
Yeah.
They go to vacation to Bahamas?
Yeah. Jamaica.
Jamaica, maybe.
Lay in the sun.
Laying in the sun.
Look, you can't overfish.
Yep.
So, what is the answer? The answer is, and again, the government is so often the problem. Let's get them here and have them be part of the solution. They have got to take care of the fishermen. Yeah. All right? These people have got to go on some sort of government relief while we rebuild the stocks. Otherwise, you're just going to wipe them out totally.
We did this, not with fishermen, but with the dairy farmers at one point. They bought out the herds to reduce the supply of milk because there was a huge circle of milk and cheese. Remember the school, they were trying to give cheese away. I don't know, they still do for the schools and stuff like that, to get rid of it. Yeah. And my relatives, one of them was, he bought into that. Yep. Or they didn't buy into it. He sold his cattle to the government.
A stabilization of the herd. And they do the same thing with oil. I mean, the oil industry polices themselves. They cap wells and just say, I'm not bringing it up at that price.
They had, in fact, this is Billy. He's got a sense of humor. They had a party the day before the trucks came to get his, the night before, and they called it a Teats Ahoy party because they were going to Argentina.
Oh, good Lord.
He said, so long, girls. Hope you speak Spanish.
I know that I used to go deep sea fishing. Back in the 50s and 60s when I worked at the Foxborough Company. I was in with a bunch of guys, and I used to go on the charter with Dave Ryder down there, and we used to catch fish like crazy. Last time I saw Dave was a good 10 years ago. Bumped into him in charter. My wife and I were just walking around, enjoying the sights, and he said, some days we just don't catch anything.
Yep, that's right. And there's a certain window in fish stocks, like other things. You don't have to get down to zero to eliminate them. You don't get down to a certain point, and the breeding stock breaks down. And it's not far from it. I think right now is what they're saying. That if they go much lower, the whole thing could collapse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we used to see that during trapping season.
Sure.
You cannot take all the muskrat. Well, physically, you can't take all the muskrats out of a swamp anyway. But if you trap them, now Massachusetts used to let you trap until March 31st. I mean, which is ridiculous. Or February 28th, I guess it was. Because what you're getting is, I remember a couple of trappers would trap in the spring. Oh boy, I got some real one, nice big plump ones. I said, yeah, females that are full of young.
Yeah.
I said, God almighty, how stupid can you be?
Yep.
Better than sitting home and watching TV with the bride or whatever.
I think of some of this overfishing is akin to fishing or overfishing and with the cod, the old fishing with dynamite. Throw a stick of dynamite into your favorite fishing hole. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of fish up front. What are you going to do tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. 3 infants have been thrown to their death in New York City in the last few weeks.
That's amazing. That is just...
So I tried to list some reasons here as to why. It's no big thing. What with babies being murdered by abortion every day, killing a baby means nothing. Drugs.
Yeah.
A lot of these women are hooked on drugs. Violence on TV and video games. And I've said this a million times, and I guess I'll just say it one more time. In the video games, the guys get killed. Bang! He's dead.
Yep.
Hit reset, he's back alive again.
Back alive, yep.
So the death is sort of a shifting sea of sand here. It isn't the final act. And some of these people are not scientists and brain surgeons
they're not.
Or anything. They're
it's gotten to the point. There's everybody's got a different opinion. I think it's a breakdown of the family.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to get next. They are often brutalized by the men who say, I don't care about this baby. You get back to work. Mm-hmm. Whether that's hustling in the street, whether that's whatever, or working in a convenience, whatever it was. And this baby's got to go. because you're not bringing home any money for me.
And some of them, they don't even know who the father is.
Yeah, I know it.
And they don't care. That's
exactly
there's
right.
no family correlation at all.
Yeah, one guy was, in one of the stories I had, said that I didn't even know she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And she threw it out the window.
I don't know, Bill.
They're too young to be saddled with the responsibility of having a baby.
Yep.
And there's severe mental health issues with a lot of these.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tragedy. And I don't know how we solve it without being invasive and getting involved in everybody's life. And you can't do that.
We started, I don't know how long ago, but I'm going to say 20 years ago, celebrating single motherhood.
Yeah.
It all of a sudden started becoming, instead of something that it happens, unfortunately, now it became celebrated. I forgot who her name was on TV. She was a
Brown.
she was one of the.
Yeah.
She was a black TV newscaster.
Oh, no, that's not who I was thinking of. I was thinking about the character, Clancy Brown or Josie Brown or something.
When she got pregnant, she was single mother. Oh, they celebrated. That was the. Oh my God, how wonderful that was.
Yeah, because
you set a precedent, and that's just one minor. Example, but it goes on and on and on. Today, I don't know what it is, 60, 70% of them are born out of wedlock.
The idea behind it, though, was I am woman. Mm-hmm. Look at me.
Yep.
I can juggle 18 balls at once in the air. I can be father and mother both.
Yep.
I can raise that child just as good as a two-parent family could. Yep. And that is simply not true. And you're right. There's no end in sight.
There's no end.
No. Baby girl dies, being thrown out of the 6th floor. And I think we may have discussed this, but I wanted to hum in on this one more time.
Okay.
Driving distracted is being debated here. And what bothers me is it's out of the headlines now. I'm afraid this is going to get down the tubes. But they're talking about hands-free.
Yeah.
Well, that's no bloody good, because there are still distractions. There's arguments with the boss, or with the boyfriend, or the girlfriend, or using the TV screen to adjust the heat and the air conditioning, or the stereo, for your your travel map TV. You still have to write stuff down as plans change, as new information comes in, etc., etc., etc. It's an infernal device, and let me tell you something. I want to go back to the future. I want that yanked out of cars. You cannot tell me that you can drive. Too warm in here. What screen is the air conditioning?
Yeah, I have trouble doing that. I can't look over at that screen and do it off the screen.
Yeah. So, and then you've got Herbert. Damn it all! You were a pain last night, and I've been thinking about it all day, and I'm really in a case with you, and blah blah blah. Maureen, shut up! I don't feel like listening to it.
Yeah.
As he's driving.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You cannot be
pay attention now.
100% focused on the road, because that's what I want you to be, because I'm on the road too.
That's right. Me too.
Here's another one that drove me nuts yesterday. Yesterday or the day before. I scribbled it because I had to write it down fast before I forgot it. This woman was complaining about her daughter being stigmatized because she is a drug addict. And this was the woman's logic. They don't stigmatize diabetics as they sit home on their sofa eating bonbons And we don't stigmatize them, but my daughter, they do. And smokers that sit home on their sofa smoking, we don't stigmatize them either. But my daughter gets stigmatized for being a drug addict. Well, gee whiz.
Golly gee.
Time I checked, I thought drugs were illegal.
That's right.
Boy, oh boy. Beverage drivers. Did you happen to see this?
No, I don't think so.
Out in California, beverage drivers. 2 guys were hired for this wholesale beverage company to deliver beverages to stores.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't like what they had to do, so they sued and were awarded $240,000. Now,
Wait a minute. They were. Let me get this right. They were hired to drive a beverage truck making deliveries to outlets, but they didn't want to do that.
they found it offensive. There's a little more to the story.
Why did they find that offensive?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. They were fired for not delivering beer. They argued they were Muslims and it was against their religion. Now, it's also against the law to ask a prospective employee his religion and any strong beliefs he has. So let me get this straight. There's a segment of our society that wants religion out of our lives, and schools and government
That's right.
that wants Christ out of Christmas. But Muslims are a separate category and are exempt from these rulings.
That's right. They want to put it into the society.
This is good stuff.
It's nuts. Just plain damn nuts.
This is madness.
Yep.
A mosque was broken into last night. Well, this was actually 3 nights ago.
Burlington or
By
someplace up there.
3 young men in a white Ford, and they spray painted USA on the interior. An exterior of the building, this is now being called a hate crime.
Of course it is.
When Catholic churches are broken into and defiled, do you ever see that?
No, it's vandalism then.
Yeah, it's vandalism. Or we get the old lighthearted, oh, those kids
Yep.
answer. But
Oh yeah. It's,
now, these 3, well, they've caught 2 of them. If you had a race between the 2 of them and a turnip in an IQ contest, I'm sure the turnip
course.
would win.
you got a
They
Beavis
drive
and Butthead there.
right up in their car
Yep.
and are viewed on cameras.
Yeah. I don't know what these menses think about today.
Yeah, and a cop in the hometown where it happened says, I recognize the
I
car.
don't know who those guys are.
Yep.
Yep.
What causes? They're the same ones, by the way, that go over at night and tip over gravestones.
Gravestones, yeah.
Yeah.
I could never understand the purpose of that. There's no reason for it. There's nothing. It's just plain destruction. That's all it is.
Why?
I don't know.
Are they thumbing their nose at society and saying, I don't believe in all this crap you people do?
I don't think that they think that far.
Yeah.
That they're going to thumb their noses. It's an act of rebellion against society. I think they're an impulse actors.
Yeah.
So many of these people today, a lot of the young people who act today on impulse.
Talk to me. Yeah. Well, we have a big problem. We have too many minorities in prison. So the solution, the only solution I can come up with, is we've got to take the blindfold off of Lady Justice. Okay, She can no longer be colorblind. She's going to have to look at individuals and say, out of 100 convictions, I can only put 13
because
of this group
our
in
racial
jail,
quota is up.
and 20 of this group in jail, and the rest of them, it's going to come from the general population.
Bill, there's a group out there that's exactly what they want. They want to go through if it's 80-20, we want this 80-20. If it's 70-30, it should be 70-30. No rhyme, no reason, no logic, no intelligent decisions on that whatsoever.
All right. So here's the solution. Selective law enforcement. Pretty soon you'll hear cops yelling, stop, stop, unless you're a minority.
Yeah. Oh, I got my racial quota for the youth.
Yeah, like fishing season.
Yep.
You can only have 6 fish in the creel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you said when they say, well, you know, the United States has per population imprisoned. They must be doing something wrong. You know what I say about that? That means they're more efficient at catching criminals.
Exactly.
Some of these countries, they couldn't catch a murderer or a thief if he fell at the cop's feet.
And life is, here in Norfolk, there's law-abiding people. There's all kinds of towns like that where it's safe to live. We exercise our freedoms because we put the bad guys
That's right.
where they belong.
Some of them we don't, we
And
should.
if we have too many minorities in prison, stop doing the crime.
That's right.
Because as the guys over the prison will tell you, if you do the crime, you got to do the time.
Yep. But we don't want to look at that. We want to look at some external factor of why the prisons are what they are.
A North Attleboro woman pleaded guilty Friday to one of 11 charges that were brought for an attack on her ex-husband, and was returned to a state mental health facility for further evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
She attacked him with an axe. He's a dentist,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Mark Schenkman, and he overpowered and subdued his ex-wife. She was returned to a state mental health facilities where professionals will evaluate her and recommend a sentence for the court to consider. The other charges, including armed assault with intent to murder, breaking and entering, child endangerment, and strangulation, remain pending. Under the agreement reached by both sides, prosecutors can still seek a grand jury indictment in the dangerousness hearing. Now, during the hearing, she said she understood her rights. The police say she hid in her ex-husband's minivan, armed with a hatchet and dressed in camouflage while she waited for him to get out of work. She allegedly held her 11-year-old son in a headlock when he unexpectedly entered the van before chasing Schenkman into his office. Authorities also suspect her of burning down the couple's $700,000 home. She's an independent clinical social worker, and she remains held without bail. Now, 2 things. Wouldn't you really and truly, if you had a child or a loved one that needed counseling, wouldn't you love to have her involved?
Oh man, I'll tell you, it's
Boy.
just plain scary.
Yeah, especially if there was a marriage problem. Wouldn't you? Yeah. Well, here's my advice to you, sweetheart. Get an axe and go after the SOB. Yeah.
Lizzie Borden did it. You might as well.
There you go. Now, the other side of it, the other thing too. Would you please tell me if that was a man that hid in the car and she was a female dentist and came out and he chased her around with a hatchet trying to kill her? Would it be handled like this?
No.
No.
It'd be much more severe.
Yeah, he'd be up in
absolutely.
Up in Walpole by now.
Cedar Junction.
Yeah. So.
Well, even our judges. Here, look at here. Evidence tossed in gun chase.
Yeah.
They let one go. There was 5 of them. You know, they got caught. One of them dropped the .357 Magnum in a backpack on the ground. One of them they left loose because of didn't show reasonable suspicion to stop them. So, on the inquest to see what is reasonable suspicion, the judge couldn't tell them, the defense couldn't tell them, or the prosecution couldn't come up with what it is. But the judge made a decision. Well, you can go.
Yeah, You know, that's amazing the judges have that power.
I do too.
You know what? I shouldn't say that, because they have to have that power. They've got to be able to cut through the baloney, get to the thing, and then make a wise decision.
But if you
what
can't
the
define,
pity of it is the wise decisions
you
are
don't know
few
what,
and far between.
Yeah, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
What is reasonable suspicion today?
you can't define the problem or the description of the problem. How the hell can you fix the problem?
How can you judge on it? You can't make a decision on that.
Speaking of courtroom drama, Hillary appeared before the House panel on Benghazi and is grilled for 11 hours.
I watched some of that.
The headline should have read, "Republicans came to the battle of wits unarmed." What a pitiful display.
Yeah.
And this is the political party that says we should be elected in 2016. I'm telling you, I don't know if I can support the Republican Party. If the more of this kind of stuff I see, and the business about electing Paul Ryan and the song and dance there as Speaker,
Yep.
we'll vote for you, but you have to do this for us. Well, you're not the opposition party. You're my own party.
That's right.
The Democrats have the wherewithal and the intelligence to say, look, let's come together, work this thing out, and we will, through compromise, arrive at something good at the end. Maybe not perfect, but good. The Republicans can't do that. My way or the highway.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And this is stupid, and it's going to cost them the election because they look like morons.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what, folks? They are morons. Okay, the ones that are doing
That
this.
started back with
Absolute
that contract
morons.
with America
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yep.
And they never
Newt
quit
Gingrich.
that. Yep.
Yep.
Newt Gingrich, exactly.
But you look at the Democrats. They put together Ted Kennedy, for all his faults, and they were manifest, he knew how to go over and talk to Orrin Hatch on
That's
the
right.
Republican side. Say, Orrin, now look, let's be reasonable. And Orrin would say, okay, Ted, let's be reasonable. You cut back on this, I'll
do
cut
this.
back on this.
Let's make a deal.
Let's see. You know, there's 10 points here in this bill.
Yep.
You drop 2 of your points. I'll drop 2 of my points and we'll pass 6 points. The American people will be better off. Your 2 points and my 2 points, we'll talk about how we can modify them so we can somehow put them together someday. It is simple. The art of compromise. And instead, we have the art of confrontation.
That's right.
By the way, here was an interesting article in the Attleboro Sun about these 2 vegetables.
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah. Pointing guns at cars in road rage.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are a couple of outstanding young citizens. They have interesting records, too. And guess what? They're just young fellows. And one of them, Yomar Romero, was arrested for a warrant out of Uxbridge District Court for failure to appear for a motor vehicle violation. And Smith, according to state police, he told, and police had a .32 caliber shell casing in his pocket and told police he was on probation for a drug violation.
Shocker.
Now,
Absolute
isn't
shocker.
that something just to drive you completely bonkers? Here's an important thing.
Okay.
All right, folks, serious stuff. Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay.
They are going to keep the ban on topless women. They had a ban put in place that said women must remain topless. And they've got indecency laws passed to keep that, that prohibits the display of female breasts. But the ordinance does not prohibit men from going shirtless, prompting complaints about gender bias. But I think the most interesting part of this story, they kept in place the indecency law, and it kept a $250 fine for a woman over the age of 10 to display her breast.
Yeah, I know.
Singular.
Yeah, yeah.
So if she displayed both, that must be a $500 fine.
Maybe you get a price break. Maybe it's $400.
But this Ray Martinez, a councilman, seems to me to be a real deep thinker, and he's really thought this one through because he's expressed himself brilliantly. Just doesn't seem right to allow female toplessness.
Well, you know, this brouhaha took place in Vermont a few years ago.
Yeah. But Ray went on. People are going to say, we go to Fort Collins and run around topless, and I don't want that. There you go.
Remember the one in Vermont? Well, I don't remember, was it Bennington or one of them? They had a thing
at
a
college town.
Yeah, it was a college town. And so the ladies decided, well, if they can do it, we can do it. And they were on the town square. And they asked the business people had the stores around it, what do you think? And they said, oh, it's wonderful. We haven't had this many people downtown in years. Because everybody's coming on to see what's going on.
I'm mystified by all of this. With all the things that a community has to be concerned about, they're worried about this. Give me a break.
Plus winter's coming.
Yeah, that's going to it'll take care of itself. They'll take care of that.
And that's the kind of thing, it happens, it goes away. It's the kind of thing, years ago they was streaking. Remember that?
Yeah.
College kids would run down something. And after a while that didn't be cool anymore, so they stopped that.
Mansfield man charged with threatening the president is free on bond. Now, he's been freed on a $25,000 bond and is required to seek a mental health evaluation. If you have a situation like this with what Andrew OKeefe is obviously a disturbed individual, by the way, he's been told also. Well, he's prohibited from obtaining firearms and other weapons or using computers and other electronic devices. And he has a history of depression aggravated by his use of marijuana. Now, if you've got a vegetable like this out walking around making threats, don't you keep them and throw them in the rubber room to look at them? Why release them and tell them, you need to go get a mental health evaluation? Oh, one thing I left out.
What's that?
Police recovered more than 100 weapons in his apartment, including swords, double-edged knives, hatchets, spears, and an air rifle.
That's a little scary there.
Yeah. So I know that they've taken all the weapons. I assume.
Assume,
never
be careful
knows, but when you got somebody like this,
yeah,
don't you put them over there and say, we're going to work with you, son. You got some problems. No. And by the way, the folks that say that marijuana is harmless, this guy says, well, my situation is aggravated by the marijuana, but who's keeping score?
Who's keeping score?
Students' vote tally delayed over diversity. In a middle school in California, they had an election for class officers.
Okay.
A president, the vice president, and a couple of the other kids were elected But there's a 56% Hispanic or Latino and a 9% African American population in the school, and they were not properly represented in the results of the tally. In other words, it doesn't say who was elected president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and grade representatives. But the principal said, I'm not releasing the results of this because it doesn't reflect all groups. But yet you get Spanish-speaking kids that don't speak English.
If you add the two minorities up, they got the majority anyway.
Yeah.
If they were going to vote on racial lines, they would have won.
Todd David said, whose son is in the 8th grade, said, the principal undermined the democratic process in the name of social justice. I think it sends an unfortunate message to students when you say the people you elected, they're not representative of you, even though you're one of the ones who chose them. She said, I feel very strongly that it's not about having a diverse student council so it looks nice. I, as principal, want to elevate student voices and see how they are experiencing school. If I'm missing certain groups, I'm not going to get a clear picture. There's grounds right here to dismiss her.
Oh, absolutely.
Put her in the unemployment line.
How does she ever teach democracy to these kids? How do you justify that?
Yeah, the students voted. What could be more democratic than that? And she's saying, time out, time out, time out. Don't like the looks of this. Too many whites.
Why'd you go to the polls? Why'd you vote? These kids, it was going to be overridden anyway. Why don't you just get on her high horse and appoint them in the first place?
Yeah, that's what she's going. I'll be willing.
That's what she's going to do.
But she did send an email to parents last week, telling them the results were in, but did not reflect the diversity that exists. She invited all the candidates to meet with school leadership before deciding the next step. You know what the next step is. You said it.
Yep.
Oh, here's another bum, Attleboro guy, elected, drunken driving, 4th offense.
Yeah, 4th time.
What's he doing with a license, you say?
Doesn't
have one.
We don't need no stinking license.
And here's our vegetables.
Yep.
That desecrated the
Burlington
mosque.
teens, yep.
Yeah. Now, we have here quite a story about a slaying in a lot, I think, in a street. And it was because the guy was in the wrong gang.
Oh, yeah. But that's...
Yeah. And basically they said, you're not one of us. And so they shot him and killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
where was this?
this was in Mission Hill.
Okay.
So they just, this guy is H block, they said.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so they gunned him down.
Areas you get shot for wearing the wrong color.
Yeah. Now, he was, during their arraignment, two of these guys flashed what relatives said were gang signs. Mm-hmm. So arrogant, no respect for life. So, a gun was used to murder a boy. How is the NRA responsible for this?
They're not. That gun was not registered. That was not legal.
But the NRA is always the bad guy.
Yep.
Always the bad guy in this whole thing. Did they brainwash these savages? No. This is why we need anti-gang legislation and stop and frisk laws.
That's right.
Okay, that's it. Right. I got one other complaint here.
Okay, then we gotta.
Little diversity on the Baker panel.
Oh my God, no.
Yep, the Economic Council Economic Development Council, appointed by Charlie Baker, is a little-known group that convened last week to create a blueprint for Massachusetts.
Got 3, Bill.
Okay. So, let me get this straight. I always felt you appoint who you trust, who is qualified, who is honest, and whom you know. The function and efficiency of the panel demand this. Mm-hmm. The governor has sworn to do the best job possible, so it follows you make the best appointments possible, regardless of what they look like.
That's right. Should be.
If you want to achieve something, you don't put $5 on it.
That's right. You know what, Bill? A week from today is Veterans Day.
Yes, it is.
And by the time you folks see this, it's probably going to go by. But don't forget a vet just because Veterans Day is past. Thank a vet, because if it weren't for you or them, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
You're absolutely right. I
totally
agree.
Do something. It don't matter. The USO, DAV, there's paralyzed vets in New Hampshire, the wounded warriors. When you get something in the mail, send them a couple of bucks. Support. When you see the Norfolk Legion next Memorial Day selling poppies,
Yeah.
give them a couple of bucks for a poppy and wear the thing for the day.
Wear it proudly.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you totally. That's a great segue. I hope we can get through it. Veterans Edge means fewer minority recruits for the Boston Fire Department.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But the reason is an individual who is not a veteran has a very small chance of getting on the fire department. Military teaches a great deal that
Okay.
Directly transferable to serving on a fire department or a police department where working together is a prime prerequisite. If someone wants to be appointed without paying their dues,
That's right.
tough stuff. All right? I can't pass the physical exam. I want a waiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have the education. I want a waiver. Baloney. Go in the military.
Do what you got to do.
Pay your dues, come out a better person, one who understands
That's
to
right.
work with people, pull together, and then you can get on the fire department.
A friend of
But you
ours-
got to do what you got to do. You got to walk up the rungs of the ladder. And on that note, folks, we are very, very happy that you tuned in. Hope you enjoyed our ranting and raving. And we'll be back at you again with another swell
Yes, we will.
story, another swell show in the very near future. You can count on it.
Thank a vet.
Good night, and
Good night.
thank a vet.